everybody, it's me, Maria. I just wanted to do a quick how-to on French tips. There was some discussion in our page today. There was some discussion today on using guides, polishing the French tip with your own, with your own polish, and also, how people are doing it without making a big mess. I'm going to show you a couple of the ways that I do it and also a couple of the types of French tip that there are. And I'm going to show you first with the freehand Frenching and how to convert one kind of French to another. If you say you start with a thin line French and you really want to make it the chevron French, which is the one that comes to a point, and then I'll show you how to use the guides. So First you want to decide, do you want to do a French that has a smile line or that does not have a smile line? Smile line meaning the tips point downward towards the cuticle, and how sharp the smile line depends on how low you start the line. Now I'm going to show you one with no smile line. Let me get a little closer for you. I'm going to show you one with no smile line first. And I wanted to do this on a darker color so that it's really easy to see and to follow. So one with no smile line, you can just take it and gently create a straight line across the nail. And this is just a standard straight line French, no smile line. And see how you can make it thicker by just bringing the line a little lower with each stroke. And this would be, a longer one. And see, here, instead of a smile line, we would just fill that in just like that. And that's straight across. Now, here, and we're going to convert this. This is a thin line, no smile. And this is the same process. Just take short, small strokes with plenty of polish. And depending on the shape of your nail, sometimes your nail kind of forces you to have a smile line. So if you have an oval shaped nail, you almost always are going to have a smile line regardless of how you do it. This is a thin French, no smile. This is going to be one with a soft smile, and see, you just take the stroke from the side, and I'm just showing you, this is how I learned to do them. This is not actually how I do them now. You take the polish and you bring it from side to side like this, and then you can bring your smile a little further down or not, and then you just go back over it, meeting your line very carefully so that you don't make your line any deeper than you want it. You fill in the line. So now you have a French tip with a smile line. And this is your most standard, most common French. Now, how can you make this a French? Say you get it on and you change your mind. You can do, and I'm going to do this as an extreme French. And you're going to take the fine tip brush and you're going to go down to the side here like this. And then you're just going to fill it in. And then you're going to just gently bring your arch like this. And then you can either, if you're more comfortable, you can take your polish and just cover any little spots you may have missed. And this is a French with an extreme smile line. And you can always make this arch lower or higher. If you're going to make it higher, you can bring a little bit of curve into it right here. And this is how you would make a regular straight French, a regular smile French, without having to start over. You're going to do the same process, put a little corner on there, and then just give yourself a tiny little arch. And then again, you just take your base color that you used for the whole French. And this can be done with any color. I just wanted to show you white over a dark color because on camera, I know over a pink nail bed, it's not as easy to see. And that is a fuller lined French. It would be a fuller lined French with a smile. So now you're seeing the 3 types of smiled French. The next one would be the chevron, which is when it comes to a full point. Doing it without a guide is actually as simple as doing it with a guide. And you can also reverse your guides and do them the opposite direction for a different effect. But what you're going to do with these guides or with your tape is you're going to apply it with the point being centered and at the lowest point where you want your white or color to land. And you're going to press it down into the sidewall just a little bit because you don't want this to bleed under. It's a little harder to clean up. And then without completely covering the guide, you want to just take a liberal amount of polish, polishing over, trying to make sure that you get it just thick enough that it's like 2 coats without having to, you know, go over it with a full 2 coats. And if you can see there, I didn't get it all the way over the guide because you really don't want to get it close to the other polish, to your base color. And then you remove it with an upward pull and then pull down at an angle. And that's how you would use the guide. And sometimes if you apply it thickly, you're going to have a little bit of a blurred line there. That's very easy to fix. And this is actually the same way you would do it without the guide, is you would just take your brush and just very gently make your line a little more defined. And if you happen to smudge or anything, you can just take your big brush from your polish and add it that way. And the way you would do this is just like what I just did to clean up the tip there. You can draw that same line and fill it in, just like I showed you how to make the smile line and fill it in. You can always make it lower or higher. Where you put the guide is up to you. And then last but not least, doing a standard smile French with a guide. And these, I recommend the larger ones for those of you who are not comfortable with guides yet. The larger ones give you a little more coverage on the nail bed. These are also what I like to use for the Art Deco tutorial. So these, doing the same thing we did with the point, you want to decide where your arch is going to be centered. And you want to look at it before you polish and make sure that it's as even as you can get it stuck on there. And if your nail grows crooked and you're trying to make the tip look straight, kind of angle it where it's a little wider on the sloped downward side, so that gives it the illusion that the nail is straight. And then just like we did with the other one, you want to make sure you push all the bubbles out. You don't want any bubbles. Very gently, again, go over it with a nice liberal but thin coat. Don't make it gobbed on. If you gob it on, it's going to be a little harder to get the guide off. If you're doing several fingers with guides, do a couple of nails and then pull them off before you go to the next nail, because if your polish dries on the form, it kind of glues it and creates a sheet of glue. And you also want to make sure that your base color is completely dry before you use the guide. And some people said they had trouble with base coat sticking to these. If you use a top coat as a base coat, you won't have that problem when you're doing a natural nail French where you don't want the bed of your nail to be colored. So with this one, we're going to take our tweezers and you pull off firmly and gently across the line. Now see, normally this doesn't happen, but I'm glad it did. I want to show you how to fix it. Don't use anything with a sharp edge like this or a toothpick to clean this, because you're going to end up ruining the whole French. Take our little eraser here that we've created with the remover and a Q-tip and just kind of squeeze out some of the excess, and then just very gently go over it and roll across that area. And you can erase your smudged line. Now, with guides, I normally don't even get that, but occasionally you're going to. And to teach yourself how to polish without the guide, if you're having a hard time doing it, you can also use the guide and then take a thin coat and go just a little past your guide line and use it as a polish guide and practice polishing the lines straight and play with it. So there's different types of French tip. And we showed you the thin straight lines and the thin curved lines, and then we converted them into the other ways. So these are just a few ways to create a French. Hopefully this was helpful. Also, it's also helpful when you're dotting and doing artwork. Do your French tip, let it dry completely, and then when you do dotting and striping, follow your lines and be just a little more on the white. So if you give yourself a little extra white, when you do artwork along that line, bring it to this side of the white versus closer to the nail bed in this area. And then that way, if you make any errors, it's in your white zone that you can actually erase and add a little more white or change your design without actually ruining your base color. Because we all know the base color, waiting on that to dry and doing all of that is the biggest pain. So hopefully these were helpful. I really appreciate you following, and thank you so very much. If you have any questions, just let me know, and I will gladly do another response video and give you a little more information. Thank you.